The rhythmic hum of the engine soothed Logan Pierce's frayed nerves as he wiped his grease-stained hands on an already filthy rag. He'd been elbow-deep in this truck's engine for the past 2 hours, and the damn thing still wouldn't start. His garage, if one could even call the rusted-out, barely standing structure a garage, reeked of motor oil, burnt rubber, and the stale coffee he'd been nursing since morning. It had been a slow week. Work was scarce, money was tighter, and Logan was starting to wonder if leaving the military for a quiet life as a mechanic had been the right choice. Then again, anything was better than war. Just as he was about to call it a night, a blinding streak of blue fire shot across the sky, cutting through the darkness like a falling star. Except this wasn't a star. It was too controlled, too deliberate in its descent. Logan squinted, watching the fiery object plummet beyond the distant hills. Then came the impact, a dull, echoing boom that rattled the walls of his garage. His first instinct was to ignore it. The last time he'd gone looking for trouble, it had landed him in the middle of an intergalactic skirmish that left half his squad dead. But something in his gut told him this was different. Grabbing his flashlight and an old shotgun, because caution was in his blood, Logan hopped into his truck and headed toward the crash site. The journey wasn't long, but the terrain grew rougher as he neared the impact zone. The trees were scorched, the earth split apart where the ship had plowed through it like a meteor. He parked at a safe distance and approached on foot. And that's when he saw it. The ship was sleek and silver, its surface shimmering even in the dim moonlight. Unlike any earthly craft, its design was almost organic, the metal appearing to pulse as if alive. Sparks sputtered from broken panels, and a thin column of smoke curled into the night sky. Then he heard movement. His grip tightened on the shotgun. From the wreckage emerged a figure, tall, willowy, and unmistakably alien. She was unlike anything he had ever seen. Her skin was a shimmering shade of violet, her silver-white hair cascading down her back like liquid moonlight. But it was her eyes that stopped him, cold, glowing, otherworldly orbs that seemed to see straight through him. She staggered, one hand clutching her side where dark blue blood seeped through a tear in her suit. "You are not armed," she stated, though her voice carried no fear. Logan glanced at his shotgun. "I beg to differ." A faint smirk crossed her lips. "That crude weapon will not harm me." Well, that was reassuring. "Who are you?" he asked. "I am Princess Velynn of the Ethery Dominion, and I need your help." At first, Logan wanted no part of it. He didn't do interstellar politics. But there was something in her gaze, desperation, defiance, something human, that made him pause. So he did what he did best. He fixed things. Her ship was a mess, but not beyond saving. Logan spent hours working on it, using whatever spare parts he could scrounge up from his garage. Velynn watched him work, her curiosity evident despite the pain she was in. They spoke in short bursts, her telling him about the fleet that was hunting her, him explaining the basics of human mechanics. By sunrise, the ship was functional enough for takeoff. Logan stepped back, wiping sweat from his brow. "You should be good to go." Velynn studied him for a long moment. "You expect nothing in return? Just don't crash again. I don't have more spare parts." Her lips twitched, almost amused. Then, with a nod, she boarded the ship. He watched as the craft powered up, its engines flaring to life. But before it could take off, a new light flashed on the console. A security override. A message. From her. Only one authorized pilot, Logan Pierce. What the hell? Before he could react, the ship's doors sealed shut, and the controls lit up. Then, they were airborne. As it turned out, Velynn had neglected to mention one crucial detail. Her ship was the only thing standing between her and an entire fleet of bounty hunters. And now, thanks to her little security override, Logan was right in the middle of it. Their pursuers wasted no time. 3 enemy ships closed in fast, weapons primed. Logan's instincts kicked in, his hands gripping the controls. "I don't know how to fly this thing," he shouted. "Then learn fast." Velynn's fingers danced over the console, rerouting power to the shields. "Just keep us moving." Lasers streaked past them as Logan yanked the ship into a sharp turn. The controls were nothing like what he was used to, too smooth, too responsive, But his military training took over. Where am I supposed to go? Away. No kidding. The chase was brutal. Logan barely managed to dodge incoming fire, the ship's shields flickering under the onslaught. Velynn was busy rerouting energy to the weapons, but their attackers were relentless. I need something, Logan yelled. Give me 2 seconds. We don't have 2 seconds. Just as another blast nearly clipped them, Velynn slammed her hand against the console. Hold on. A pulse of energy erupted from the ship, a shockwave that sent their attackers spiraling. Logan took the chance, diving the ship into a narrow asteroid field. The enemy ships, caught off guard, struggled to follow. That was close, Logan muttered, exhaling sharply. Velynn collapsed into the seat beside him, breathing hard. You did well for someone who doesn't know how to fly. You locked me in here on purpose, didn't you? Maybe. He gave her a look, but she only smirked. You have no idea what you've just gotten yourself into, Logan Pierce. He sighed, rubbing his temples. Yeah. Story of my life. Little did he know, this was only the beginning. The silence between them stretched, filled only by the hum of the ship's engines as they drifted through space. Logan kept his hands on the controls, even though they weren't being actively pursued. Yet, he exhaled slowly, running through everything that had just happened. One moment he was fixing cars in his dusty garage. The next he was piloting an alien ship through an asteroid field with a fugitive princess at his side. This wasn't how he planned to spend his evening. Velynn was watching him. He could feel her gaze, studying him like some strange specimen. You're handling this better than most humans would. That's supposed to be a compliment? It's an observation, Logan huffed, rubbing a hand over his face. Okay, I've had just about enough of the cryptic princess act. Start talking. Why are people trying to kill you? She hesitated, shifting slightly in her seat. They don't want to kill me. They want to capture me. Big difference. For me, it is. Logan waited. He wasn't the type to press people, but if he was risking his neck for her, he deserved some damn answers. Velynn let out a breath, as if debating whether to trust him. Was the heir to the ethery dominion. Until I was accused of treason. Logan's hands tightened on the controls. Treason? A setup. The High Council framed me. I was their perfect scapegoat to cover up their own corruption. Her expression hardened, lips pressing into a thin line. They tried to imprison me. I escaped, and now they want you back. She nodded. Logan sighed. Why me? Why lock me into your ship systems? Velynn hesitated. Because I needed someone who could get me out of there fast. And you didn't hesitate to help? That's not an answer. She smirked slightly. Maybe I just like you, Logan Pierce. Logan rolled his eyes, but there was no malice behind it. Great. So what's the plan? Because I don't plan on being shot out of the sky for a princess I just met. She turned to the ship's navigation, inputting new coordinates. There's a planet nearby. Uncharted to your people, but I have contacts there. If we can reach it before the fleet tracks us, we'll have a chance to regroup. Logan didn't like how she said if. They traveled in tense silence for a while, the vast emptiness of space stretching before them. Logan kept his attention on the radar, half expecting an ambush. He wasn't wrong. An alert blared through the ship. Incoming vessels, Velynn announced, checking the display. 3 ships. Fast but lightly armed. Logan cursed. Can we outrun them? Not likely. His jaw clenched. Then we fight. Velynn gave him a long look, then nodded. I'll take weapons. You fly. The enemy ships were gaining fast. Logan gripped the controls, heart pounding, instincts from his military days kicking in. They were outnumbered and outgunned, but he'd been in worse situations. Probably. Hold tight. He twisted the ship into a sharp barrel roll just as the first barrage of fire came streaking past. Velynn was already at the weapons console, fingers moving rapidly over the controls. The ship vibrated as their cannons fired, striking one of the pursuers dead on. It spiraled out of control, crashing into a nearby asteroid. 1 down. 2 more to go, Logan muttered, yanking the ship into another sharp turn. The remaining ships flanked them, trying to force them into a trap. Velynn cursed. They're hurting us. Logan narrowed his eyes. He could see it now, the pattern in their movements. They weren't just trying to shoot them down. They were trying to force them toward something. And then he saw it. A massive warship loomed ahead, its dark hull blending into the void of space. A trap. A damn good one. Hold on. Instead of dodging, Logan did the opposite. He accelerated straight toward the warship. The enemy pilots hesitated for a fraction of a second, thrown off by the reckless maneuver. That was all he needed. Now, he shouted. Velynn unleashed a full spread of missiles, just as Logan pulled the ship into a hard upward climb. The explosion rocked the void below them, consuming one of their pursuers in the blast. The last ship broke off, retreating toward the warship as they shot past its outer defenses and into open space. Logan exhaled sharply. That was too damn close. Velynn gave him an approving nod. You're not bad, human. He shot her a look. You did just kidnap me. Let's not forget that. She smirked. I prefer the term strategic recruitment. Logan shook his head. You owe me a drink. If we survive this, I'll buy you a whole bottle. The uncharted planet loomed ahead, its surface shrouded in swirling clouds. Logan guided the ship into the atmosphere, his gut telling him this was only the beginning. Because if there was one thing he knew for sure, it was this. Nothing was ever that easy. The ship shuddered as it broke through the dense atmosphere of the planet. Logan kept a firm grip on the controls, guiding them through turbulent winds and thick cloud cover. Visibility was near zero, but the onboard systems provided enough readings for him to navigate. This place doesn't look friendly, Logan muttered. Velynn remained focused on the monitors. That's the point. The Dominion doesn't bother with uncharted worlds. It's why my contacts operate here. Defined contacts. She shot him a look. People who don't want me dead. That's a short list, huh? She smirked. Getting shorter by the day. Logan sighed and concentrated on the landing. Through the thinning clouds, the surface of the planet came into view. A sprawling wasteland of jagged rock formations and deep ravines, illuminated by the eerie glow of twin moons. Pockets of dense jungle sprouted in the cracks between cliffs, mist rising from unseen depths. It wasn't completely lifeless, but it didn't look welcoming either. Landing zone locked in, Velynn announced. Take us down near those ruins. Ruins. Because of course there were ruins. Logan brought the ship in for a rough but controlled landing, kicking up a storm of dust and debris. The moment the engines powered down, silence settled over them, broken only by the distant howls of some unseen creatures. Logan unbuckled his harness. All right, what's the plan? We wait for your friends to roll out the welcome mat? Velynn stood, already retrieving a small handheld device from her belt. They'll come to us, but we should stay alert. Great, because I love surprises. They descended the ramp into the humid air. Logan's boots crunched against cracked stone as he took in their surroundings. The ruins stretched around them, massive stone structures covered in strange alien carvings, half consumed by nature. Thick vines draped over crumbling pillars, and faint blue bioluminescent fungi clung to the walls, casting an eerie glow. Then, movement. Logan tensed, hand drifting to his holster. The shadows between the ruins shifted, figures emerging one by one. They were tall, their armor lightweight but well-worn, their weapons held in cautious readiness. Their features were distinctly alien, some with elongated faces and dark, reflective eyes, others with sharp mandibles and plated skin. They moved with the grace of seasoned fighters. One of them stepped forward, a male, taller than Logan by at least a foot, with dark bronze skin patterned with glowing green lines. His gaze locked onto Velynn, then flicked to Logan with an unreadable expression. You're late, princess, he said in a deep, guttural voice. Velynn crossed her arms. We were delayed. The warrior eyed Logan again. And the human? Logan sighed. The human has a name. It's Logan. And trust me, I didn't sign up for this either. The alien studied him for a long moment, then huffed a low chuckle. You brought an outsider, Velynn? I didn't have a choice, Tyreek, she replied. He saved my life. And now, thanks to a little security override, my ship only responds to him. Tyreek's expression darkened. You gave a human control over ethery technology? Relax. He's a decent pilot. Logan snorted. Glad to know I meet the bare minimum requirements. Tyreek ignored him, turning back to Velynn. You realize what this means, don't you? If the Dominion tracks you here, they'll come in force. Velyn's gaze hardened. Then we prepare. Tyreek exhaled slowly, then gestured for them to follow. Come. We have much to discuss. They moved deeper into the ruins, where a hidden encampment had been set up beneath the crumbling structures. Makeshift shelters, weapons caches, and alien tech hummed with energy. Other rebels, soldiers, exiles, and mercenaries watched them pass, some murmuring at the sight of Velynn. As they entered a central chamber, Logan crossed his arms. All right, someone give me the full picture. Because I'm still trying to figure out how I went from fixing trucks to being on the Dominion's most wanted list. Tyreek and Velynn exchanged glances before Tyreek leaned against a rusted console. The Dominion is expanding, crushing entire civilizations under its rule. But there are those of us who resist. Sounds like a noble cause. Tyreek's jaw tightened. It was, until the Dominion needed a traitor to blame for their failures. Velynn was their perfect target. Framing her allowed them to justify wiping out resistance forces without question. Logan looked at Velynn. And you just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time? Velyn's expression darkened. I found proof of their corruption. Ethery leaders selling out our people to an unknown force in exchange for technology. Logan frowned. Unknown force? Tyreek leaned forward. Something ancient. Something powerful. The Dominion is afraid of it, but they're desperate enough to make deals. We don't know what it is yet. Logan exhaled sharply. So let me get this straight. The Dominion's corrupt. You're sitting on evidence that could expose them, and now we're all targets. Velynn smirked. That about sums it up. Logan ran a hand through his hair. Fantastic. Before anyone could say more, a warning alarm blared through the camp. Soldiers scrambled to defensive positions, weapons raised. Incoming vessels, someone shouted. They found us. Tyreek cursed. How? Velyn's face paled. They must have traced the ship's energy signature. Logan's stomach twisted. Well, that's just perfect. Outside, the sky burned as Dominion ships descended through the atmosphere, their cannons charging. Dust and wind whipped through the ruins as the first wave of troops dropped to the ground, weapons primed. Logan turned to Velynn. Got a plan? She grabbed a rifle from the nearest crate. Don't die. Solid plan. The battle began. Blaster fire erupted through the ruins, lighting up the darkness with streaks of red and blue energy. Logan dove behind a crumbling stone pillar as bolts of plasma exploded against the walls, sending shards of rock flying. The Dominion troops moved in tight formation, their dark armor gleaming under the eerie glow of the twin moons. These weren't grunts. They were elite soldiers, and they weren't here to take prisoners. Logan gritted his teeth, gripping the pulse pistol he'd grabbed from a fallen rebel. His military instincts kicked in, scanning for openings in their attack pattern. Velynn was already moving, ducking and weaving through cover with the grace of a trained warrior. Her rifle hummed as she fired precise shots, taking down 2 Dominion troops before they could react. Tyreek and his rebels returned fire from elevated positions, forcing the enemy to spread out. But Logan could see it wasn't enough. The Dominion had numbers, and worse, they had reinforcements incoming. The low rumble of drop ships vibrated through the air, signaling more troops inbound. Logan turned to Velynn. We need an exit strategy. Fast. She reloaded her rifle, eyes scanning the battlefield. There's an old underground transport tunnel beneath the ruins. If we can reach it, we might be able to escape before they overwhelm us. Big if. Tyreek ducked behind cover as a grenade detonated nearby, sending a shockwave through the air. We don't have a choice. If we stay, we die. Logan sighed. Fine. But how do we reach it without getting fried? Velynn smirked, tapping a small device on her wrist. Like this. A pulse of energy rippled outward from her position. Within seconds, several dormant defense turrets hidden among the ruins powered up, their mechanical arms swiveling toward the invading forces. Before the Dominion troops could react, the turrets opened fire, tearing through their ranks with precision strikes. Logan let out a low whistle. You could have activated those earlier. Where's the fun in that? Velynn shot back before signaling the rebels. Fall back to the tunnels. Move. The group sprinted through the ruins, using the temporary chaos to their advantage. Dominion soldiers tried to regroup, but the turrets and scattered resistance fire kept them pinned long enough for Logan and the others to reach a massive stone structure covered in vines. Tyreek and two of his men worked quickly, pressing hidden mechanisms along the structure's surface. With a deep rumble, the ground trembled beneath them, and a concealed door slid open, revealing a dark passageway leading underground. In. Now, Tyreek barked. Logan and Velynn were the last to enter, covering the retreat as Dominion troops attempted to push forward. The moment they were inside, Tyreek slammed his fist against a control panel, and the entrance sealed shut with a deafening thud. Silence. Logan exhaled heavily, pressing his back against the cool stone wall. His heart was still hammering in his chest, but at least they weren't dead. Yet. That won't hold them forever, Tyreek muttered. They'll find another way in. Velynn nodded. Then we keep moving. The tunnel stretched into the darkness, the walls lined with ancient markings that pulsed faintly with blue energy. Logan frowned. This place looks different. Tyreek adjusted the settings on his weapon's flashlight, casting a beam over the carvings. This tunnel is old. Older than the Dominion. Some say it belonged to the first race that walked this world. Logan didn't like the sound of that. And let me guess, it's got some dark secrets waiting for us? Velynn smirked. Would you rather take your chances with the Dominion outside? Logan sighed. Point taken. Lead the way, Your Highness. They moved deeper into the passage, the air growing cooler as they descended. The further they went, the more Logan felt something was off. There was a strange pressure in the air, like static before a storm. The markings on the walls seemed to shimmer the longer he looked at them. Then, the whisper started. Soft, indistinct, like voices carried on the wind, speaking in a language Logan didn't understand. He glanced at Velynn, but if she heard them, she didn't show it. You feel that? Logan asked quietly. Tyreek nodded. We all do. Stay sharp. They rounded a bend in the tunnel, and suddenly, the space opened into a massive underground chamber. At its center stood an enormous structure, an ancient monolith covered in the same glowing inscriptions. But unlike the walls, these markings pulsed in rhythm, as if alive. And at its base, something moved. Logan's grip on his pistol tightened as a figure stepped forward from the shadows. It was tall, draped in flowing, metallic robes that seemed to shift and shimmer. Its skin was smooth and dark, like polished obsidian, but its eyes, they burned with a cold, blue light. Tyreek stiffened. Impossible. Velynn whispered. A sentinel. Logan frowned. What the hell is a sentinel? The figure raised a hand, and in an instant, the whispers grew louder. The air around them felt heavy, charged with unseen energy. When it spoke, its voice echoed inside their minds. You are not meant to be here. Logan swallowed hard. Yeah, well, neither are the guys trying to kill us. So maybe we can help each other out? The sentinel regarded him for a long moment, then turned its gaze to Velynn. The blood of the ethery flows within you. You seek refuge, but you awaken forces beyond your understanding. Velynn's expression was unreadable. We didn't come to awaken anything. We're just passing through. The sentinel stepped closer, and Logan instinctively moved in front of her. And yet, your presence is enough to stir the past. The Dominion follows you. If they set foot in this place, they will not leave. Logan exchanged a glance with Velynn. That sounds like a good thing? The sentinel's gaze burned into him. It is not. For if they perish here, the forgotten will rise. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Logan had no idea what the forgotten were, but he could tell by the look on Tyreek's face that it wasn't good. Velynn took a slow breath. Then what do you suggest? The sentinel raised a hand, and suddenly, the walls around them shifted. Hidden pathways revealed themselves, leading deeper underground. You must go forward. Find the key. Only then will the past remain buried. Logan sighed. Great. Because our day wasn't complicated enough already. With no other option, they stepped into the unknown. They moved deeper into the tunnels, the air growing colder with each step. The Sentinel's warning echoed in Logan's mind, unsettling him more than he cared to admit. The Forgotten will rise. That didn't sound like the kind of problem they wanted on top of everything else. The path ahead was narrow, forcing them into single file. The walls pulsed faintly with an otherworldly energy, the inscriptions shifting as if watching their every move. Logan wasn't the superstitious type, but this place made his skin crawl. Tyreek kept glancing over his shoulder, his grip tight on his weapon. We shouldn't be here. Velynn didn't slow down. We don't have a choice. Logan sighed. Yeah, I feel like we keep saying that right before things get worse. And, as if the universe had been waiting for him to say it, the tunnel suddenly widened into another chamber. Larger than before, but with a sinister presence. At its center lay a massive stone structure, circular in design, covered in the same shifting symbols. Unlike the rest of the ruins, this one looked untouched by time, and something was inside it. Logan took a cautious step forward. Tell me that's not a sarcophagus. Velynn's jaw tightened. It's a seal. Tyreek swore under his breath. A seal for what? Before she could answer, the room trembled. A deep, resonating hum vibrated through the walls, growing louder. The inscriptions flared with intense light. Logan instinctively raised his weapon, but he had no idea what he was aiming at. Then, the stone began to crack. Velynn, Logan started. She was already moving, pulling out a control device and scanning the structure. It's reacting to us. Yeah, I figured that part out. What's inside? Velynn hesitated. A weapon. Or something worse. Tyreek stepped back. Then we should leave. But it was too late. The final crack split the structure in two, and the chamber filled with an unnatural wind. Shadows coiled from the opening, twisting like living smoke. And then, it emerged. At first, it was shapeless, a swirling mass of darkness and energy. But as it moved, it began to form. A towering figure, taller than any of them, its body flickering between solid and ethereal. Its face was a hollow void, but its eyes burned with an unnatural hunger. The Forgotten had awakened. A voice, ancient and layered with countless echoes, filled the chamber. The cycle begins again. Logan barely had time to react before the creature lunged. The sheer force of its movement sent shockwaves through the room, knocking him and the others back. Tyreek fired his weapon, but the energy bolts passed straight through the being, absorbed into the swirling darkness. Velynn cursed. Weapons won't work. Logan scrambled to his feet. Then what will? The Forgotten turned its hollow gaze to Velynn. Ethery blood has set me free. Its voice sent ice through Logan's veins. Whatever this thing was, it recognized Velynn, and it was coming for her. She gritted her teeth. We need to reseal it. How? She glanced at the ancient control panel near the structure. The key. The Sentinel mentioned a key. Logan didn't need more explanation. He ran, dodging the creature's outstretched hand. He sprinted toward the console, hoping he could figure out something before the thing tore them apart. But the moment he touched the controls, his mind was flooded with visions. A war. Not between humans, not between Ethery and the Dominion, but something older. A battle fought in the stars, between beings that should not exist. The Forgotten were not just prisoners. They were executioners, locked away by those who feared what they could become. And now, Logan had freed one. The vision faded. The chamber snapped back into focus. Logan's hands flew over the controls, guided by instinct more than understanding. The symbols shifted beneath his fingers, forming patterns that felt right. The Forgotten screamed. Dark tendrils lashed out, barely missing him. The others opened fire again, not to kill, but to distract. Logan grit his teeth, heart hammering as he pressed the final sequence. A blinding pulse of energy erupted from the console. The chamber trembled violently. The light from the markings flared, surging toward the creature like chains of pure force. The Forgotten thrashed, its form twisting and breaking apart as it was dragged back into the seal. This is not the end. Its final words were cut short as the seal snapped shut, the stone reforming as if it had never been broken. Silence. For a long moment, none of them moved. Then, Logan let out a shaky breath. Okay, that was officially the worst thing I've ever done. Velynn exhaled, brushing dust from her armor. It could have been worse. Logan shot her a look. Really? Worse? Tyreek muttered. Next time, let's not find out. Velynn turned to Logan, studying him. The way you handled that console, that wasn't normal. Logan hesitated. He had felt something. Something deeper than just flipping switches. I don't know what happened, he admitted. But that thing knew you, Velynn. And whatever this place is, it's connected to the ethery. She nodded slowly. We need answers. Tyreek huffed. We need to get out before the Dominion catches up. Logan agreed. Yeah, and maybe not wake up more ancient nightmares along the way. They didn't waste time. Moving quickly, they navigated through the tunnels until they found another exit, this one leading to a hidden plateau far from the battle site. In the distance, Dominion forces scoured the ruins, unaware that their true prize had already slipped through their grasp. Logan gazed at the horizon, then at Velynn. So, what now? She smirked. We run. We fight. We figure out what the hell we just uncovered. Logan sighed. Of course we do. As the sun rose over the alien landscape, one thing was clear. This was far from over. The Dominion was still after them. Ancient forces were stirring, and Logan Pierce, a simple mechanic, had somehow become entangled in something far bigger than himself. And deep beneath the ruins, unseen by all, the seal pulsed faintly, as if something on the other side was still watching. The adventure was just beginning.